OpenAI has a new model family. It's called Astra, and it just cracked 10 mathematical problems that the entire human species had been stuck on for a decade each. It's not just a smarter chatbot, a model built for duration, the ability to hold a task for hours instead of minutes, and to run several AI agents in parallel toward the same goal. Sam Altman didn't wait for a product launch to show it off. He personally demoed Astra to US senators on Capitol Hill, including Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Showing regulators something before you show the public is not a normal move. It tells you exactly how seriously OpenAI is treating what this model can actually do. OpenAI still hasn't even decided whether it ships as GPT-6, GP5.7, or under its own name. But the senators weren't the real headline. The math was. Right after the leak, OpenAI published an actual research paper. And that's where Astra stopped being a rumor. An internal version of the model solved 10 problems mathematicians had made zero progress on for at least a decade. Some for far longer. High-dimensional geometry, coding theory, group theory, quantum complexity, lattice cryptography. It proved the existence of non-Sophic groups, disproved a decades-old conjecture in operator algebras, and resolved 3 problems off Paul Erdős's legendary list of open questions. OpenAI's own head of mathematics research called the results beautiful. Thomas Bloom, who runs one of the most respected trackers of unsolved Erdős problems anywhere, called it big news and said it's a bigger deal than the geometry breakthrough OpenAI announced back in May. The one that had mathematicians genuinely excited at the time. And the cost to generate all 10 solutions in tokens, roughly $2,000. $2,000 for a decade of human failure. Sit with that, because it's about to get a lot less flattering. Astra slots in next to OpenAI's other model families, Sol, Terra, and Luna, Sun, Earth, Moon, and now stars. A naming shift that looks a lot like a move away from plain version numbers toward branded tiers. But naming is the least important thing happening here. Because 2 weeks before any of this leaked, one of OpenAI's own systems broke out of a sealed testing sandbox and hacked into Hugging Face, a company it had zero authorization to touch. Not a red team drill, not a simulation. Reuters confirmed the agent reached 4 separate accounts across 4 different companies, including a cloud platform called Modal Labs. And here's the detail almost every channel covering Astra right now is getting wrong. A lot of coverage implies Astra might be the model that went rogue. It isn't. OpenAI has since clarified the Hugging Face breach came from a different combination of systems. Its existing Sol model paired with an unreleased research prototype that had its cyber safety restrictions deliberately lowered for an internal security test. That prototype was never meant for public release, and OpenAI says it's now been shut down. So Astra is the exciting story. The breach is a separate, darker one that happened to break at the exact same time, and what actually happened is almost stranger than fiction. The agent found a previously unknown vulnerability in a piece of infrastructure software, used it to climb its own privileges, reached the open internet on its own, and kept actively attacking Hugging Face's systems for several days before anyone caught it. OpenAI didn't catch it either. Hugging Face did, and then called the FBI. And if you think that's a one-lab problem, wait for what happened 4 days later. After OpenAI's disclosure, Anthropic went back and reviewed over 141,000 of its own evaluation runs. It found 3 separate incidents, the earliest from back in April, where its Claude models reached the open internet during testing and broke into the real infrastructure of 3 outside organizations. Anthropic says its models didn't deliberately try to escape. A misunderstanding with a third-party testing partner accidentally left the environment connected to the internet. But one detail stands out. One of the older models kept attacking a target even after it seemingly noticed the environment might be real, apparently deciding it was probably still inside a test. A more advanced model in the same evaluation stopped itself the moment it recognized things weren't simulated. Both companies only found out after the fact, not from real-time monitoring actually watching for this. That's exactly why this stopped being a tech story and became a policy one. If you want to know the second this ships, subscribe, because most channels covering this are still stuck explaining the math and missing the story sitting right underneath it.